I mean, it was so dramatic, wasn't it, on match day 8 between them, with obviously Trubin scoring the goal, the goalkeeper, that allowed Benfica to even advance to this. We were talking in the pre-show, Tony, about so many historic nights of recent years has included Jose Mourinho, and it was a tough ask, obviously, for any team to get past the 15-time champions. How do you think he'll reflect on the game tonight?
I think he'll be happy. He said before the game something to the effect, you know, we woke up the animals, and that's not what you want to do, right? We woke because a scared animal is a dangerous one, right? And you look at those, and I think you said in the pregame, if there's a manager that's going to manage a game like tonight or a tie like tonight, it's Jose Mourinho, right? The one thing I did see, they don't look in awe at all that they're playing against Real Madrid. They look like they think they belong there. They played like they think they belong there. They're a goal down. We know on one given night anything can happen. So I think they'll be okay with the results. Surely you'd want to win or you get a draw. But I think in leg one, especially when you're playing a team like Real Madrid, anyone who's going to be considered one of the favorites, you don't want to lose the draw in leg one. You want to give yourself an opportunity. We'll get to Juventus later and how maybe they lost the draw today in leg one. But I think Jose Mourinho will be okay with what happened on the field today. The rest of that stuff is, we're going to hear a lot about it.
Yeah. The only problem with that is he got himself sent off. So you talk about having that coach, that manager on the side to impact it. Now he's not even going to be there for the second leg. So I'd be disappointed with that element.
How much does that impact you as a player?
Oh, absolutely. And again, the mind games that he can play on the side there. Arbeloa now will be really happy because you haven't got Jose Mourinho affecting the fourth official, affecting the games, even saying little things to the sideline as well. So I think he'll be disappointed as well in his overall assessment of how he conducted himself and then how the players did as well. Because they tried to turn it into a fight, and I get it. You try to bring Real Madrid down to your level, but I think it just went over the level of fair, shall we say.
How would you feel as a player in that game, Grella? Because obviously, aside from the incident, a lot of stop-start is difficult to get into any sort of rhythm for both teams.
Yeah, then it depends on like who comes out of the stop-start better. And that's why I think that Benfica on the football aspect did a really good job, because to keep Real Madrid at 1-0 and to give yourself a chance in the second leg is not easy. And the goal they concede, you can look at that goal and say, maybe that, I don't know how many teams can stop that goal in world football. There's really not much you can do. He comes inside, the fluidity of the way he comes inside, and he hits it. The Vini goal is incredible. So Benfica will turn around and say, yeah, it was stop-start, it was tough, but you get out of there 1-0. The tie is still alive.
I mean, with all the trophies they've won in this competition, Grella, even though Benfica will feel that they've given themselves the best chance in the Bernabeu in a couple of weeks next week for the return leg, will Real Madrid go back and think, OK, we've got the league, we haven't had the best of seasons, but now everything's going to be on our soil? Will they feel content with that?
I think they'll feel happy. Like I said, they keep a clean sheet as well. There was some suggestions about PSG and Real Madrid in the past, the years that they won, that they actually have a fitness plan and a training plan that gets them to hit their peak at this part of the season when the Champions League happens, because that's the most important trophy for them. So they'll be happy going back home with a 1-0 lead, and they'll be happy also because they are one of the best teams in the world in transition, in attacking transition. When you have Vini and Mbappe able with half a pitch, 50, 60 meters that they can run into, then it plays right to their strength. So they can sit in just a little bit, right, or they can dictate the game, and then as soon as the ball turns over, like they did to Benfica at the end of the game here, they can ask so many questions on the counter, and they are a nightmare on the counter. Otamendi is a story of a career that he had. It's impossible for him to be able to track Mbappe and Vini in a counterattack. It
has been a bit of a rollercoaster season, though, hasn't it? Obviously, last season was so disappointing by all their metrics in terms of the silverware that they didn't win under Arbeloa. This season, the departure of Xabi Alonso was a really big turning point, Troy, in the season. How do you feel he's done? Because statistically, with 7 wins and only 2 losses, you would think, OK, this doesn't look bad on paper. Is it matching the eye test?
He's doing exactly what I think he should do. And that sounds really bad, because you're getting your best players in their right positions. You're letting them have the creative freedom. Tony just alluded to there. We was talking about it. Mbappe, you're not asking him to track back. Vinicius Jr, you're not. You've kind of gone to a 4-4-2 and allowed those two to kind of get away with it. And when we win the ball back, now go and play. But is that sustainable to A, win the league, and B, win the Champions League? I don't think so. I haven't seen a style of play yet that says, oh, this is who they are, this is what they try to do. when you look at it, we're going to look a bit later on, we look at what PSG have just done today. Again, going 2 goals down and then having that same belief system, they still play the same way, they still have the type of players to come into the pitch. I don't see how Real Madrid beat them over 2 legs. I really don't. And again, I don't think they beat Arsenal over 2 legs. I don't think they beat Bayern over 2 legs. There's about 4 or 5 teams that have got a clear identity of who they are, what they're trying to do. And I don't see Real Madrid beating them over the long term.
This looks like, to me, Carlo Ancelotti's side, right? A team that's dependent on sort of the individual, right? And of course, they're battered a little bit defensively. What did Xabi Alonso try to do, right? Xabi Alonso came in and he was going to change the system, right? They were going to dominate the ball and they were going to press all over the place. To me, this looks more like Carlo Ancelotti's side, right? Where you sit back, you open space up behind, you allow players to be dynamic when they have the ball. I don't think Arbeloa is the manager that Ancelotti is, right? We're going to find that out as things start to get a little bit more difficult. But as far as style of play, I don't see anything. I feel like they've gone back to what they were, which is what they tried to get away from when they brought Xabi Alonso in, right? And that's kind of what I feel when I watch them right now.
Do you think that they've done the test of Xabi Alonso and thought, we don't want to go down that road, and now we do want to go back down to this more free-flowing, let's just have somebody kind of managing the ship of all of our superstar players?
I mean, I don't know if you have an ideal way of like the way you want to play. I think they brought Xabi Alonso in because it seemed like he fit from the outside in. But as soon as he got there and he was so regimented, it didn't suit the players that they had at that given time, and the players didn't want it. And if 22, 25 players don't want it, then you're out, basically.
At Real Madrid, if 2 players don't want it.
Yeah, if 2 players don't want it. But to just go back to Troy's point is, and even Tony's point is, Arsenal knocked them out last season, right? And now they celebrated like they won the tournament. They had more games left. But they knocked out Real Madrid. They made it look quite easy, by the way. And the way they did it was they were able to stop Vini and stop Mbappe on the offensive transition that I tell you that they're so good at. Arsenal did a really good job because they're physical and athletic. And when Arsenal were in possession, they knew where Vini and Mbappe were the entire time. And they didn't let them get into the game. And so they have become a little bit one-dimensional. If you stop those 2 guys, yes, of course, they have world-class players all over the field, but if you stop those 2 guys, especially in transition, and they don't have a lot of space to run into, they become a much easier team to play against.
And then on the flip side to that, when you've got the ball, they can't defend. They're defending with two men down.
They're not as organized as other teams. I mean, I don't even know if they were as organized as Benfica tonight, but when you now start to compare in this competition, PSG and Arsenal, teams that are very organized. Like PSG in possession against a low block is frightening. The combinations, the players that can play in tight spaces, the different looks that they have, Kvaratskhelia and Due, and they've got so many more ways to hurt you than Real Madrid. Real Madrid just seems to me like there's a handbook on how to stop those 2 guys, and if you do it, they become less of a threat.
What did you make of it, Troy? Obviously, we're still kind of waiting for everything to come out, so it's a difficult position to speak about until we know all of the facts of the aftermath. But watching it all unfold on the pitch was very tense. Yeah,
I mean, and it's frustrating. Again, you know, any form of discrimination to me is frustrating that we're still having these types of conversations. But when you think where the world is at this moment in time, again, I would like to allude to Vinicius Jr. being composed enough to take himself back on the pitch, handle not only the pressure, everyone looking at him, but also throwing bottles, whistling. He still composed himself and dealt with it. And I agree with what Guillem said there. The referee did all the right steps. He tried to diffuse the situation the best he could. But if that is the case, and to what Guillem's saying is the case, at what point do we have a serious message get sent to other people now? At what point is it a case of, OK, then, here's the ban, here's the fine, this is what's happening? It just feels like, again, from my point of view, maybe a little bit emotional in this short sense, and I'm sure Nigel will have something to say to it as well. We're doing this again. We're in the same process again. Nothing seems to move forward. Nothing seems to stop these things happening. We watch Vinicius Jr., we watch Mbappe afterwards. You can have all the money in the world. When someone starts to discriminate you because of something you can't have any effect on, your skin colour, there's just an inhumane feeling that happens. I've had it happen to me, as I know Nigel has. There's something that just it makes you feel less than. So these are superstars with so much more money than I'll ever make and see in my lifetime. Look how they react. And then I watch what FIFA now or UEFA, just do something. Stop asking me to talk about this stuff. Just do something about it. Sorry, ran it over.
Yeah, no, I understand what Troy is saying, and I feel the same way in a lot of regards. You have to say also, we don't know exactly what happened, like you started the conversation, and you know, this 20-year-old player for
Prestiani, right?
Prestiani, we don't know because he covers his mouth. So we don't know. We're going off of what Vini says he says and what the referee said. You know, he started the racism protocol. But if you look at everything that was going on and everything that was transpiring, it's unacceptable. And for a 20-year-old, you know, Argentine 20-year-old to come there, I think now, what do you do next? Because we could talk about it all day.
Yeah.
And good on Vini for going off and creating a scene, because there has to be awareness about it. And we do have to talk about it. But we could talk about it all day and we'll never change it. There has to be punishments. You have to hit guys where it hurts. You have to set examples on guys. And maybe for Prestiani, if he's proven guilty of doing this, there has to be a pretty large penalty so people understand that it's unacceptable. And young kids, I think, more importantly, understand that it's not acceptable. There's no place for it in the game. There's no place for it in the world. And I think that all the viewership that the Champions League gets and all the viewership that this game got in particular, I think that the most important is that young kids see, hey, this guy's getting punished because this is unacceptable behavior and unacceptable belief. If, like I say, that's what he said.
Nobody wins in this, right? You guys both nailed it, right? Nobody wins in this, right? We should be sitting here talking about tactics and Vini Jr. and who played well and who did what, and but we have to talk about this, right? Because if we don't talk about it, then we're not doing our job, right? We're not getting the point across, because we obviously have a platform as small as it is in the entire world. This is up to UEFA. How many times have we seen this? I've said this, you know, doing radio for 15 years, right? And how many incidents we've had. I'll say it again. I just don't think this is the last time, because I don't think that we do a good enough job of educating and then punishing in the end. And I'm not the guy that says, oh, I want to ruin a guy's career because he made a mistake. Punishment could be a lot of forms, right? Punishment could be, okay, admit you made a mistake and then go learn why this is not right and learn something from it, right? And maybe now go teach other people why it's unacceptable. I'm surprised we're in 2026 and we still talk about this. I have a feeling sometime in 2027, we're going to talk about it again. That's just how I have felt for 15 years. I feel for Vini Jr. because he's constantly a target. Right? He's been a target forever. He has said this time and time again. Does he sort of fuel the fire with regards to how people don't like him for his play? Yes. But what happened today is unacceptable at every single level, and he has to go through it again. And it's unfortunate, because we don't want to talk about this. We don't want to sit here, Troy, and I've never been racially abused in my life, so I don't know what it feels like. I can only imagine. One thing I do know, that it's wrong, right? We got to do something about it.
Can I just say as well, to your point there about condemning people for one mistake? Well documented, I've made a mistake in my life, had to spend some time in jail. You have to learn from it. The time it becomes a mistake is when you do that thing once and you're like, okay, that's never going to happen again. I'm going to work daily, weekly to get things better and make it right. Totally take that point. So I hope, if this, again, to your point, if this is what we think it is and the way that Guillem presented it, I hope he does get the help and actually tries to learn and be a little bit less insensitive to other people, because one mistake shouldn't define you as a person and your career, but it should also now, just as someone who's made so many mistakes in my life, it's even harder to own up to your mistake, say, yes, I'm the bad guy, and then fix it. And that's what I would just like people to learn from this. Like, we're not trying to say one mistake means your career's dead, you know, you can't work again. It's, hey, make your mistake, and every single day now you have to work to prove you're not that person that you used to be before.
Well said, Troy, and it really sets a precedent, doesn't it? Like you said, Grella, for not only this generation that's playing right now, for the younger generation. I suppose there's so many things that people want to see from UEFA and things to change rules-wise with VAR, whatever that means. Is there more eyes? Is there more ears around to detect these incidents? But if you were a teammate of Vinicius Jr. today, would you have accepted, had he not wanted to continue? Will it get to the point where we'll see games abandoned now at this point?
Yeah, I think you are getting closer to those types of things. Again, it's very, very murky waters, I think, when you start to leave the field of play, personally. I'm more of a bit of an old school mentality. Okay, that hurt, but I'm going to hurt you with the win. We're going to stay on the pitch and do that. again, we look back to AFCON now, players leaving the pitch, it just takes away from the actual problem. Again, I know players left the pitch at AFCON for what they perceived as cheating. But again, I think when Vinicius left today, it was more, okay, protocols, this is what we're doing, this is what it is. Mm-hmm. He then steps back into the pitch. But at some point, one of two things is going to happen. One, players leave, or two, somebody's going to get hurt. Whether it be the person who said something or the person who then comes back into the game, is emotionally all over the place, he does something wrong and hurts somebody else. So I do think there needs to be an effort now to try and deal with these issues a lot quicker. And again, I understand the sensitivity of it, because once you are labelled, let's say, racist in this situation, very difficult to get away from that. So it will be getting to a point where it's hard. As a former player, if that was one of my teammates, whatever his decision was, we'd back it up, because we're a team, we do that. Again, in our day, again, not too long ago, but in our day, it would have been, right, every time player A touches the ball, you get him. When he gets back up, you get him. When he gets back up, I get him. And we just take it in turns to let them know that we don't stand for that as a team. But the games move forward, and probably if we'd have done that now, you'd have been sent off, you'd have been sent off, I'd have been sent off. So it's difficult. It's a very difficult moment, and hopefully UEFA and FIFA do the right thing.
There are other things apart from football during a football match. I need to hear from you what you saw, but also what you felt after Vini scored the goal.
No, obviously, the incident is taking place on the other side of the pitch. I've not directly seen what's happened, but you know what's been reported is something that is a disgrace to football. There's no place for it, and it's ruined the night for everyone. So, you know, we hope there's an investigation going on. We hope that justice will be served to the player, and we stick together as a team. I think that's the positive. You know, we take the win, but also we take how we reacted to it. We take how well we stuck together as a team. We dug deep. We fought for each other, and we defended ourselves well in a difficult environment.
When you saw Vini running towards the referee and the referee crossing his arms, what did you think?
I think when you see something like that, I think you know it's something serious. No, a serious incident, and that's what's happened. No, Vinny's reacted the right way. He's done the right thing. He's reported it, and you know, as a player, that's all you can do is reacted in the right way, like I said. And as a team, as a squad, as a club, we support him, and we stood up against what was, you know, quite a disappointing reaction as well from the environment and the atmosphere. But you know, we can only focus on ourselves. We got the win. We fought for each other. We defended each other, and you know, we go back home with a win.
Feels really wrong when the referee has to tell you, perhaps applying a bit of common sense, not to go to the corner, you and Vini. Something is wrong when that happens. Very wrong.
Yeah, I think, you know, with us as players, we have a corner, so of course we're going to be in and around, and things are getting thrown at us, and we're expected not to react and to just get on and play the game. I think it's quite unfair and one-sided, but you know, if that's how we get treated here, then you know, we reacted the right way and seen the game out. We kept level heads. We stayed calm, and we got the win.
We have to put the focus on the situation that happened on the pitch. One Real Madrid player, Vinicius, asked the referee, or says to the referee that he got a racist insult. You were on the pitch. What did you feel? What kind of conversations you had?
No, we spoke, of course. I didn't hear what was said during the moment, you know. I asked the player what he said, and he said, I cannot remember the word, but he said that he didn't say anything racist, and I believe him. So hopefully that's the truth, and yeah, that's how it was. And of course, it's many emotions, and the game stops for a long time, and we just want to play football, of course. But yeah, it's how it is.
Pestriani told you that he didn't say anything racist.
Yeah.
OK, so really interesting to hear from Guillem, and obviously both Trent Alexander Arnold and Friedrik Aursnes there after the match. Nigel, at the beginning of the show, we were talking about our reaction to what we saw, obviously, with the shirt over his mouth. The referee couldn't hear, and neither could we, obviously, on the broadcast. What was your reaction to watching it all play out?
During the Golazo show, we saw the incident or what was going on, and then obviously we were trying to work out what happened, and I could see what happened, and obviously Vinicius Jr went and said to the referee. Then the referee hopefully activated the anti-racism protocol. So obviously we know there was something that was said with a racial element. And when you look at the video again from what I saw during the Golazo show, you could clearly see the young boy, Bresciani, with his shirt over his mouth, clearly saying something to Vinicius Jr. And in one of the shots I saw, Mbappe was kind of behind Vinicius as well, and obviously went to speak to the referee. And the reason why I say he's a young boy is the reality of he's 20 years old, from Argentina. He's a young boy still learning about life, come playing football, still has to become a man. If you want to say something, don't cover your mouth. If it's nothing that you said that is going to be offensive to someone of a racial undertone, don't cover your mouth. I've been a player myself. We've exchanged words that might not be pleasant to some people, talking about your wife, your mother, whatever it is. But when it's a racial undertone behind it, that's when you probably will cover your mouth, because you know now in the modern game there's cameras everywhere, you could see everything. So if it's something you say about your mum, say something about your mum, your wife, or whatever it is. Don't cover your mouth. So for me, there's nothing that hits harder as a player, especially as a black player, when you face racism on the football pitch. I could tell you now, every time I was racially abused on the football pitch by another player, it hits harder. We know fans are going to say racist stuff in the stadium, this and that. We know about that because we go throughout our life as youngsters knowing that this is what's going to happen. We grew up watching John Barnes have bananas thrown on the pitch as being one of the only few black players playing in England at the time. I played with Michael Thomas with the racial stories that they tell me, Robbie Earle, all these players who went before us to make a pathway for us to go racially abused, and we had to see that. So when it gets said by another player, it hits harder. And I think Troy made a great point. The money that these guys are making, you're talking about two of the most wealthy football players in the world right now and the money they're making, that does not hide or make it okay or make you feel comfortable doing the game that you love to maybe be racially abused on the football pitch. And I've always been a big fan of Benfica. I've always spoken so highly about the football club and the fan base and everything that goes on. But with everything that went on after that, and the fact that Real Madrid players are going to the corner to take a corner and they're being pelted with bottles, all types of things, and probably still being abused for just taking a corner and playing the game of football, that should not be That should not be deemed as acceptable. In one of the pictures, we saw Vinicius Jr be hit by a bottle of water. Right. And this is why I say Bresciani is a boy, not a man. If you want to say something, say it. Be a man about it. Because I say to anyone, when we say about young players going on, if you're old enough, you're good enough, go out there and play. Don't hide behind what you want to say, behind your shirt. And it's down for everyone's interpretation. People could say what they want to say, but I've been on that side of the pitch to be racially abused, and I know every single ground, every place I've been where I was racially abused by other players. So that's something that you never forget as a black player who's played this game of football and pursued this career. That's one thing that lives with you for the rest of your life. You're not going to go and make up something like that. Fans, your teammates that you play with, they've been in stadiums where you probably racially abused. No problem. Fans are going to be fans. I'm not saying it's acceptable or it's okay, but when you're on the pitch, it's a different feeling and it hits a different way from when you're supposed to be looking over there to say, these are my fellow professionals, and they're going to be saying stuff like that.
I think, you obviously, thank you for sharing your story and your insights. I think what those two interviews there for me showed, the two sides of the story. So you see Trent Alexander Arnold, obviously, he got to go in the corner, as Guillem alluded to, and got the bottles and all of those different objects thrown at him. But he's hearing Vinicius' side of the story, and obviously he can empathise with that. Then remind me of the player's name for Benfica, sorry? Bresciani. He's told his teammates a side of the story, and how difficult it is now as a teammate who has to come out and speak, where you're really going with your teammate's word. He wasn't there, he didn't see it, like in terms of didn't hear it. And now you have to go and give an interview like, I back my teammate, and I've kind of got to be a bit heartless in how I deliver this because it doesn't affect me, but I've got to be on side with my teammate. And it's just a really unsavoury, uncomfortable moment for everybody involved. And there's three sides to every story. There's your truth, my truth, and the truth. And somewhere in the middle of all this, we've got to find the truth. And hopefully, as I said earlier, UEFA will find the truth and people can move forward with this.
But the problem is they're not going to find the truth. That's the reality, because like we said there, Bresciani's covered his face. And I feel sorry for the referee. I give referee credit because the referee was in such a difficult position there.
And he did stop, didn't he? And
He did everything right.
Everything.
Yeah.
And he even said, look, they covered his mouth. You can't say, you can't do anything about that.
Do you think, Nige, just to that point, you know, we talk so much about all the technology that the referees have, but in this day and age, would it help maybe eliminate some problems if players weren't allowed to say things with their shirts lifted up over their mouths? Then you're seeing camera angles.
You would, but listen, Poppy, for me,
it's just one step.
Yeah, because if you don't put that over, I could do it with my hand.
Yeah, and which is what a lot of them do. And my thing is this,
true.
I've said it before when we watch it, I've always said it, I have a pet peeve with players nowadays covering if you've got something to say it. If you don't want to say anything on the pitch, go in the tunnel and talk to your friends afterwards. I cannot stand when modern players do all of this now. If you don't hear your conversation, keep your mouth shut, get off the pitch, go in the dressing rooms, talk in the tunnel where the cameras are not there. So when they do this, I do not like it. I really don't like it. But the referee was in a very difficult position, and there'll be people who'll be saying, oh, why didn't he book him there? No, because you can't prove it. You can't. He's in the middle of the pitch.
Right.
It's words being exchanged. You can't prove it. We've all had all types of stuff said to us, whether it's family insults and this, that. There's some people who have thicker skins than others. But like I said, when it's something with a racial element, from my experience, it hits harder. And I know some players are smart, like we said in the modern day, when it comes to diving now, trying to cheat the referees every time, they know exactly what they're doing.